Kia ora, nā mai kisi whare, welcome to the House. Ko Lui Collins aho. This week in Parliament is Members' Week, when Wednesday evening is given over to debating non-government legislation. However, the government has added Wednesday morning to the schedule to keep up their current aim for rapid legislating. Among the list of bills likely to be debated this week, there are 7 of particular interest. The Climate Change Response Emissions Trading Scheme Forestry Conversion Amendment Bill is back in the House after a truncated period of consideration by the Environment Committee. The bill seeks to address growing concerns about whole farms that are being converted into exotic forestry land under the auspices of the ETS. That word exotic may evoke visions of coconut palms or a banana tree, but it is the humble pine tree that has been at the centre of this issue. Here's Minister in charge of the bill, Tom McClay, during the first reading.
The current settings in the emissions trading scheme have tipped the scales too far. We're seeing entire farms converted into exotic forests under the ETS, from Invercargill to Ruatoria. These are not marginal lands, these are productive farms supporting families, communities and local economies. And once they are planted into exotic carbon forests, they are effectively lost to food production for decades, if not permanently.
In that same debate, Labour offered what they have called their very cautious support for the bill, citing the need to carefully work through some of their perceived issues in Select Committee. The Green Party, meanwhile, who are against the bill, claimed the real issue was with the wider concept of carbon offsetting. Here's Steve Abel.
The fiction of offsetting has the same practical impact of an alcoholic paying somebody to drink water and thinking that they have solved their drinking problem. That is the distortion that we have in this country to this day. And the worst, and what's more, the person who's drinking all the water is making a lot of money and thinking that they're doing something about alcoholism, but they're not at all. The worst effect of it is that we are not solving climate change, but actually we're sacrificing some of our least emitting farmland, because a sheep and beef farm produces about a quarter of the emissions of your average high-intensity dairy farm. It seems like the effect we got with He Waka Eka Noa, which sheep and beef were thrown under the bus to protect the dairy industry.
There have been a number of bills this Parliament relating to infrastructure, consenting and public works, particularly about doing things fast. This week's bill aims to speed up the acquisition of private land, desired for projects listed in the Fast Track Approvals Law or under the Roads of National Significance programme. That Public's Work bill will be a committee stage, which is not time limited, so it may take a while. There are 3 committee stages in a row on this week's schedule. That could slow debating to a crawl. The third of them is over a new stalking law. Here is National's Erica Stanford during its second reading, discussing an amendment made in Select Committee.
To be convicted of the new offence, the prosecution will need to prove the person engaged in a pattern of behaviour towards their victim. The committee recommended a broader definition for the pattern of behaviour. The offence will now require 2 specified acts within 2 years rather than 3 specified acts within 1 year. This broadens the pattern of behaviour by capturing fewer acts across a longer timeframe. I agree that this change will better address strategies such as anniversary-based stalking. It will also make it harder for stalkers to work around the law.
Ginny Anderson is Labour's spokesperson on this. She applauded that change, but worried that a remaining aspect might make prosecution difficult: intent.
Currently, it must be proven that the stalker acted knowingly, that their behaviour is likely to cause fear or distress to their target. So it means that the stalker has to know that their behaviour is likely to cause fear or distress. Proving that intent of someone who is lying or is genuinely deluded about how another person feels about them may well be extremely difficult to prove in a court of law, and this is concerning. We heard quite good evidence in the Select Committee that there are people who are engaged in stalking behaviour who genuinely believe that the victim wants their advances, that they want their attention.
Paul Goldsmith is likely to lead the government discussion on that bill, and he also has a second key bill up this week, the Crimes Countering Foreign Interference Amendment Bill, which will resume its second reading. It intends to fill gaps in criminal law concerning clandestine actions made on behalf of foreign actors intended to harm New Zealand. The government has said that there is a growing risk of foreign interference, and this law change would introduce treason, inciting mutiny, and espionage on behalf of foreign actors as new offences. Here's Goldsmith.
To commit the offence, a person's conduct must include all of the following elements. It must be undertaken for or on behalf of a foreign power, and be covert, deceptive, corruptive or coercive, and thirdly, be meant to compromise protected New Zealand interests.
On Wednesday evening, it seems likely that two members' bills may pass their third and final readings. What is unusual is that both of them are opposition MP bills, which usually have a rougher ride as members' bills. One is addressing giving evidence in family violence court proceedings, and the other is about disclosing worker pay. We expect to talk more about both of them later in the week. And among Thursday's bills is a brand new government bill, the recently announced bill to prohibit mounting demonstrations outside someone's house. I te whakarongo koe ki te whare. You've been listening to The House, a program made with funding from Parliament's Office of the Clerk. Mā te wā.